Welcome back everyone. As you probably guessed from the title of the video, this is the light that we are going over today. This is the latest in the EDC line, if you will, from the folks over at Streamlight. So they started out with the MicroStream, then moved over to the MacroStream, which we're going to be using in today's video, which is this guy right here. And now they have introduced the Megastream. So it's incrementalism in terms of size, no doubt about that. However, in terms of output, it really isn't. So the MicroStream and the MacroStream, fairly comparable. Of course, the MacroStream is going to be brighter and have higher candela, all of those sorts of things. However, this thing is a huge step up. This is like a legitimate light in terms of output levels. It's going to give you 18,000 lumens and 26,000 candela. So that is a very balanced beam pattern that also has the ability to throw really well. And it still comes in a relatively small package overall. Additionally, just to kind of compare it to some of their other really popular lights is of course the Wedge series that we have talked about here on the channel as well. That is USB-C rechargeable, something that a lot of people liked on these lights. We will compare all three of these in terms of output here in just a second when the sun goes down. But this one has a much larger battery, of course, and you can charge it via the battery itself, plug it in via a USB-C, or you can pull down your little cover there and charge it via the USB-C on the outside of the light, so that way you never actually have to take the battery out of the light. I know that's something that a lot of people like. Additionally, that little white part that you guys see right there around the port itself, when it is fully charged, it will be green, and when it is charging, it will be red, so it lets you know the status of the light itself. In terms of operation, it's fairly simple. We have a single button that you use to operate it here on the end, and basically a slight tap will give you momentary, and then you push all the way and that will give you constant on. And then of course, if you want to get out of it, you just hit it again. And it has three different modes, and of course it is going to be high, medium, and low. And the way to get through it is you actually have to click through each one first. So click, and that'll give you medium, and then 1, 2, 3. I went too fast, that'll give you low. And so as long as you hit the button within 0.4 seconds, it will move on to the next mode. That is the time that you need to hit it within in order to activate that on the light. Now, it is not 10-tap programmable, which I think some people probably won't like on this light. Some folks, like for example, like mechanics or something like that, a lot of you guys are going to want that low first, and then of course move up to high if you need it. However, the people who are carrying the light for sort of like tactical use definitely are going to appreciate that high only. It's really just something that you're going to have to consider. High only when you turn it on anyway. It's just something you're going to have to consider when you're looking at your use and your intended use for the light. Me personally, I love that. I'm all about it. Have no issues with it at all. So some claims about it before we actually let the lights go down and have you guys take a look at the output. They claim here that this bezel out front, the polycarbonate lens, is indestructible. So of course we had to test that. So we did a bunch of drop tests with this that you guys should see rolling in here on your screen. We dropped it. Every one of those was from above shoulder height onto cement. So not exactly an easy test, and we didn't break it yet. Of course, we will continue trying over the years as we continue to use this light, but drop test, it did just fine. Additionally, it is rated to be submerged for up to 90 minutes. So of course we tested that as well, had it in water, and it was completely fine, no issues at all. Everything is O-ring sealed on there. So that little last bit, when you push it up right there, it looks like it's closed, but it's not. If you push a little bit harder, that O-ring will engage. And then of course, the tail cap is the part that is also O-ring sealed if you want to take your battery out and charge it that way. Should note, when it came to me, the actual threads there were not greased. I did add grease once we had it in, but of course that is the USB-C port for your battery if you want to charge it that way. That said, I'm not really sure that anyone will actually do that. I think everyone's just going to use the exterior port, at least I would anyway. But yeah, drop test, water test, no issues at all. So with that, let's let the lights go down. But before we do that, we need to thank the folks over at 1775. The folks over at 1775 Coffee actually just dropped a new starter kit, and maybe you've seen that new launches oftentimes sell out, but if you still haven't tried 1775 Coffee yet, this is your shop because they've just launched their kit, and the first drop is limited to just 1,000 units. This starter kit isn't some dinky sampler pack, it's a full-on pack of caffeine freedom, including a bold dark roast that hits harder than a CNN fact check, a smooth medium roast for strength without bitterness, and a Vitality Mushroom Coffee for clean energy, laser focus, and zero crash. All single origin, small batch, mold free, and toxin free as well. Plus you're also getting a gold spoon clip because Freedom isn't scooped with plastic, a frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler that says, "I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch." That's $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is for the ones who have been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler alert, it is. So just head over to 1775coffee.com/GNG and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does. Start your day with a coffee that actually backs what you believe. We have our camera set on manual, and we have a combination of some natural illumination from the moon. It's about 3/4 full, and one of my neighbor's security cameras that is on that's bleeding over into the yard. If you guys see that red tint, that's that security camera. But if you guys are watching on a computer, for the new folks, I recommend you turn your monitor brightness all the way up. That will get you as close as possible to what I see here with my human eye. So there you have the illumination from the Streamlight wedge with the low setting on there. The spot where the wood fence meets the iron fence is approximately 30 yards away, and the trees back there in the background are approximately 35 to 50 depending on the actual tree. You guys can see kind of a wall of light here with the wedge, but we do have somewhat of a hot spot, just a really wide one. And then if we bump it up on high, that is the wedge output there on high. And the output that you see here is from the macro stream. This is on high. You can see there much more of a hot spot. And if we bump it down into low, that is again the macro stream on low. To compare the two, that is your macro stream here on high. And then over here, we have our wedge on high. It's probably hard to tell a difference, but definitely more of a hot spot here with the macro stream. Now you're looking at the output from the Megastream on high. And you guys can see once again, good defined hotspot, and to compare it, that would be the macro stream over here on your right on high, Megastream here, and we'll just kind of work through the modes. And that is your low setting there on the macro stream. Low setting on the macro stream versus high on the, low setting on the Megastream versus high setting on the macro stream. Interesting to see the difference between the two. Now we're going to see how these lights throw. So I'm about 10 yards back here on my property, shore to shore. Across the lake here is about 110 yards, and then there is a shack that's probably another 10 yards up on my neighbor's property. So again, you guys can see we got plenty of natural illumination out here today, but let's look at that Megastream first. Again, that is on high. That's honestly kind of crazy for a carry light. You can see here on my property, that rosemary bush over here to the right, that right there, that is still being illuminated well, so we definitely still have a good bit of spill, but for the new folks, one thing I always say is that when we zoom in there, that's closer to what I see with my human eye. And no doubt, if somebody was standing out there holding something in their hand, I'd be able to identify that. I might not be able to identify what it was in their hand, but I could definitely see if they're holding something or not, which is kind of crazy for a light of this size, honestly. For comparison, here we have the wedge on low, and then we go to high. You definitely can see a little bit better with it than if it was off. So that, of course, is zoomed in. It'd be tough to tell like differences in terms of like something in someone's hand or something like that. Honestly, it would be probably relatively difficult even to describe their clothing with this type of illumination, and then back on low and then off. So you definitely get something out there, but just not a ton with the wedge. And here we have the output from the macro stream. Once again, you can see we're getting good illumination there on that rosemary bush. Just good overall beam. And then that is zoomed in on the macro stream. It's a little bit better than the wedge for sure, but not great. Again, that is off, and then that is on. Now that y'all have seen the beam comparison, a few things to point out here before we close the video out. First up, I think there's going to be two groups that are really trying to decide whether or not to buy this light, and one of them is going to be focused on size. There's no doubt about that. A lot of people that were attracted to the macro stream and the micro stream really liked it just because of the size. The output that those lights had for them was sort of a bonus. So for this one, I really wanted to show you this right here is the Surefire E2D LED Defender, and essentially they are the same size where it matters. The Surefire here is a little bit longer in that tail cap, but the heads are the same size, and carried in your pocket they would be essentially the same size. This one's a little bit fatter for the larger dimension of the battery versus the CR123As here. But really, this light, which is a great light, I have a full review on it. You guys can check it out if you want to. Super durable, all the things that Surefire is known for. This light gets blown out of the water in terms of output by this light. Additionally, this light gets blown out of the water by this light in terms of price point. But I bring it up to say that I know a ton of people that carry lights that are this size. So if you're okay with a light that's this size, this light will be no problem for you at all. I should also mention that these do come with a nylon holster if that's something you're interested in to carry on your belt. And I suppose we should also point out, I don't think I've said it yet in the video, that Streamlight did send this light out for the video, just full disclosure on that. They don't get to see the video before anything goes up. They're not paying me, nothing like that. That's why we have our sponsors to handle that type of stuff. But yeah, full disclosure on that. They sent it out, but that doesn't really matter. The light output, the beam comparisons, all of those things speak for themselves. There's not a whole lot I can do about that. So price point on these, street price that you're looking at right now as of when I'm recording this video is roughly $80. So I think the MSRP is right around 100, and it might get cheaper than that down the road. However, I think that is a very good performance for the money in terms of output and feature set. Typically, you know, these right now are looking at roughly $50. And if you look at the micro streams, they're about $35. These are about 50 to 60. And then you add another 25 on for this light. It kind of makes sense in my opinion in terms of pricing. And if you compare it to a lot of other competitive options that are going to be similar in terms of output, this one's smaller than almost all of them. And cheaper than many of them as well. So I think it's a good value. I think they're going to sell well. Definitely let me know what you guys think down below. Would you carry it? Is it too big for you? All of those sorts of things. For me, I would say that I'm going to carry it in intentional situations. So in a situation where I know I need more output. However, for like EDC daily carry, I'll probably stick to this or the Wedge XT that we've also done a video on. Those are kind of my defaults at this point. Because, you know, this one, the size sometimes does matter. However, size sometimes doesn't matter. So in those cases, I will definitely take this because this is I mean, compared to pretty much every other light that's a full-size light that was made 5 years ago, this blows it out of the water, and it's much, much smaller, much lighter, and all of those sorts of things. So it is an impressive light in terms of the output. I mean, 26,000 candela, 1,800 lumens, is a lot of output for a light of this size. So I think that's it. I think you guys pretty much know at this point all the things you need to know about the light and whether or not you're interested in it. So if you like this video, we definitely do a ton of light videos on the channel here. Every light you saw in this video has a dedicated video on the channel as well. So hit that subscribe button. If you hit the subscribe button and you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel, then you are being censored by an algorithm from my content. Easy way around that. There's a couple of them. Sign up for the email list at the website here on your screen. This will get you put on 2 different email lists. They're separate. One of them is a list that just goes out once a month, and it has all the videos since my previous month's email went out. So that way there's no big tech giant censoring your eyes from my content, whether it be on YouTube or Rumble. Additionally, that email list, there will be a separate email list, I should say, that it will get you put on, which is the daily deals email list. That goes out every day as the name indicates. So should any of these lights go on sale, if it's the cheapest anywhere on the internet that I know of, it will make it into that email along with several other deals on guns, ammo, optics, all of those things. The criteria to be in the email is the cheapest I know of on that day for that item. So that way I save you guys some time because I've already done the price comparisons for you, and obviously save you guys some money as well. There's good meme in there. A lot of folks like the meme. You can subscribe just for the meme. I will allow it. And lastly, we have our SMS list. That goes out at most once a day, but not every day. And it either contains one of 2 things: a smoking deal that I know is about to sell out. So that way I go straight into your phone and bypass your email, or it contains a new video that goes up, that just went up rather. So that way, once again, we get around the algorithm, because that's kind of a theme around here, it seems. But that's it, guys. That's all I have for you. Thank you all for watching. I truly appreciate it. Looking forward to your comments down below, and we'll see everybody in the next video.